In fact, in China, Putin was once again publicly humiliated. Once is an accident, twice is a pattern, and 3 times it's a tradition.
Stand aside and keep your head down. And stay silent until you're asked to speak.
In diplomacy, the way guests are received is extremely important. How leaders are welcomed speaks to their status and significance. So, here's the thing. In China, Putin was received like an ordinary official. It was dry, emotionless. At least they brought up the stairs and didn't make him jump out of the plane.
There was neither any special warmth, nor an honor guard, nor words about a dear friend. The reception for the Russian leader seemed like a mere formality, without any real emphasis.
Against this backdrop, the presidents of Azerbaijan and Turkey are welcomed as honored guests. Lavishly and with honor. The contrast is so striking that even Russian propaganda can't ignore it.
I believe that in Chinese culture, and especially in political culture, such symbols are quite important. How a leader is received, who greets him, what kind of ceremony there is. If it is very simple, and especially compared to previous years, simplified and less grand, then I think this can also symbolically show that Putin is not at the same high level as he used to be.
The Azerbaijani media couldn't miss such a remarkable moment and openly started mocking the pale geostrategist, as if to say, compare who is a truly respected leader and who is the ruler of a shabby, backward, so-called state.
At Binhai International Airport in Tianjin, an honor guard was assembled in honor of the head of our state. The next day, the president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, also arrived in Tianjin. His visit, at the invitation of Xi Jinping, once again demonstrated that the leaders of Azerbaijan and Turkey are China's main strategic partners in the region.
The Chinese could not have been unaware of the tensions between Baku and Moscow, so by honoring Aliyev and ignoring Putin, they are directly showing their support for Azerbaijan. Today, Azerbaijan is an equal partner for China, while Russia is nothing more than a vassal province. That is why Putin is received not as a head of state, but as an ordinary governor.
While Aliyev and Erdogan were welcomed as respected strategic partners, Putin was received more like a burdensome guest whom it would be better to see off as soon as possible. The visual contrast was so obvious that any further commentary is unnecessary. Respect and honor in Baku and Ankara, indifference and cold formality in Moscow.
China no longer even bothers to pretend. It's clear that Moscow is in its pocket. And Putin is its loyal little dog who, if he doesn't lick his master's boot well enough, will be left without food. The pale toadstool has sold Russia out, lock, stock, and barrel to its eastern neighbor. Mordor's dependence has reached such proportions that if it wanted, China could leave the felt-booted ones with nothing but their bare rubber behinds. So why should the Chinese treat their subordinates with respect? Putin is the first ruler in Russian history to completely strip the country of its agency. Now that's what we call a masterstroke. If those were the real goals of the special military operation, then they've been achieved.
Crystal clear. Take notes. You really can pull it off.
In the end, the much-anticipated Chinese summit, which the Vatniks dreamed would see Putin and Xi Jinping dividing up the world, turned into a complete diplomatic fiasco and a double humiliation from both Beijing and Baku. Moreover, President Aliyev started roasting the Muscovites even before his trip to the SCO. In an interview, he stated that Azerbaijan's presence within the USSR was an occupation.
The Russian army invaded Azerbaijan and occupied it. The Bolsheviks, who carried out the revolution in 1917, deceived the people. Their slogans sounded like factories to the workers, land to the peasants, freedom to the people. We created our own state, but the Bolsheviks took it away from us. We all
know how Putin gets excited at the thought of the USSR and how he dreams of reviving it. That's why Aliyev's statement is a personal jab at the balding gnome. An authoritative leader of a respected state can afford to do that to a minor Chinese official.
All right, that's not bad at all.
The mocking tones of Azerbaijani journalists are also unlikely to be just their own initiative. There is a suspicion that Aliyev gave the green light to tear Putin to shreds. So to speak, to put him in his place.
In the current relationship between Azerbaijan and Russia, to use chess terminology, Azerbaijan now has the white pieces. This is different from how it was historically for Russia, whether in the Russian Empire, the Soviet Union, or even before the Second Karabakh War. I think Russia has nowhere to go. It will have to accept this, whether it likes it or not.
It should be noted that this is not the first time Putin has been humiliated right at the airplane stairs. At the Caspian summit in Turkmenistan, no one at all came to meet the boy in his underwear. He descended alone and wandered off to the car. It felt as if they had just called him an Uber. In contrast, Turkmenistan welcomed the other leaders with great fanfare and honors. This was yet another diplomatic slap in the face for the Russian dictator. Basically, it can be summed up that after the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Putin's international reputation has been completely wiped out. Just like his orcs on the front lines. The image of the invincible macho, almost the most influential person on the planet, which had been built up over decades, collapsed within a few weeks near Kyiv in 2022. Everyone saw that the emperor had no clothes. His resource-based economy is backward and dependent on stronger partners. His army is nowhere near capable of solving even regional issues and kills more of its own soldiers than the enemy.
This manner of conducting military operations, makes not just me, but very many people think certain things. That, well, besides the undeniable fact that the army is actively fighting as diligently and effectively as it possibly can, it is also, please forgive me for stating this, performing a crucial and necessary disposal function. In other words, the actual and complete disposal of materials.
Putin has not become a complete pariah, which he undoubtedly deserves, but that doesn't make things any better for him. The states and leaders who still maintain contact with him now treat him with disdain and contempt. They know that Pinya will tolerate any attitude toward himself, even outright rudeness, because he has nowhere else to go. Putin will be glad for any opportunity to meet with someone and show his lackeys that he is not in isolation. The Führer is forced to grovel even before the most disreputable figures. In Iran, the Botox Matryoshka was seated in the corner like a misbehaving fifth grader, and Putin obediently sat there because he had come to beg for shaheds and other military aid for his so-called Second Army of the World.
It was precisely his statement at the meeting with Putin that marked a shift in Iran's position.
Do you remember how Putin used to love being late to international meetings? That was his way of showing his importance and superiority over his opponents. Now it's the other way around. Being kept waiting for a meeting with Putin has become a special kind of humiliation for the dictator. Leaders of other countries force Putin not only to wait, but to do so in front of the cameras. The master manipulator now has to awkwardly shuffle his feet and make faces, pretending that everything is going according to plan. Here, the pale criminal is waiting for the president of Kyrgyzstan. And here he's being kept waiting by the president of Turkey. Now, every world leader knows if you want to assert yourself at someone else's expense, just call Putin. He'll come running at the first call and play the role of a diplomatic punching bag. Although, who knows what's really going on behind the scenes? Maybe they're even using Putin as an ashtray stand?
Change or die.
Naturally, the loss of international authority has come back to haunt Putin even within Russia itself. Now even his most loyal Z supporters no longer respect him. And the worst thing for Putin is that even his own Orsish troops don't respect him. Russian soldiers are increasingly openly humiliating Putin. Not even the threat of being wiped out stops them. Kicking the rotten dictator with a stick is the new trendy thing to do.
When are you fucker who's over 70, the so-called president, finally going to end all of this? You still want to take even more regions? We absolutely need them. We truly need them for our purposes.
I would like to remind you that this video is created for entertainment purposes and contains elements of satire and irony. All facts and events are presented in a hyperbolized or exaggerated form to convey a comedic or dramatic effect. Our goal is not to mislead, but to highlight humor. Please take it with a smile.